Oh yeah, outliers. You see me, I'm jumping around here, and it's because my name is Niiamah Ashong, and I am so very grateful for being a part of your journey. In fact, I'm so grateful that I brought along two other outliers who are playing a big game out in the world to share their experience here on the Outliers Edge Roundtable. So let's give you a chance to get to know these outliers here. I'm excited to dive into their stories and the way that they see the world as well. And we do everything on behalf of you, outliers. So as we're having this conversation, don't just sit down passively and consume. Be an active participant, and you'll see how we play that game as it goes along. Why don't we get to know our outliers that are with us here today? Why don't we start with Cleopatra, and then we'll go to you, Commander Bimal.
Hello, everyone. I'm Cleopatra, speaking from the UK. I am a coach and consultant that works with, ambitious executives to really take control of their personal growth, and this includes in life and in career.
Nice. It's great to have you here, Cleopatra, and Commander Bimal.
Thank you, Niiamah, for this initiative. And thank you for inviting me for this. Happy to contribute. I'm Commander Bimal Raj. I'm from the city of Hyderabad in India. I'm an author, published author. I'm a podcaster, and I'm a mind kinetics coach. I work with businessmen, executives, and CEOs of company and help them get their breakthroughs. Thank you.
Thank you. I like to leave this conversation as something where the unexpected can come up, and I like that in particular because the thing is, outliers, we get to a certain point where like the unexpected is what we expect, and then we get used to something being kind of constant, and then the unexpected, and then we start questioning whether we can handle that unexpected. So why don't we start off with you, Cleopatra, then we'll go to you, Commander Bimal. Why don't you share with us something recently that has happened in your business and your life that has been rather unexpected overall, and the steps that you did to make that into like an exceptional experience for you?
Brilliant. This is Cleopatra again, just to keep you. Um, Recently, I got and I shared this on my LinkedIn as well. So I got funding from my university. So even though I'm working in my business, I decided to go back to uni. And one of the things that I struggled with, especially being from Africa, is fitting in. And that's not what I should be doing. And, I joined an accelerator at uni and decided that I was going to go through the program and pitch for funding. However, talking to my friends about this opportunity that I came across, someone said to me, Cleo, you're just wasting your time because people like us don't get opportunities like this. And personally, I felt offended by that. And that was a feeling that I'd never experienced before because it felt like a personal attack to me saying that, oh, you can't do it because you look the way you do or you speak the way you do or whatever the reason behind that reasoning was. And so I took it upon myself to prove her wrong, went through the program, pitched for funding, and I received the highest grant for a business idea within that program that they'd ever recorded. So what was surprising to me was how I took that feedback that I got and decided to work on it and make it into something positive and basically a testimony.
Yeah, I really appreciate this, and I'm commending him. I'm going to come to you in a bit, but I want to slow down just a little bit here, Cleo. Do you mind if I call you Cleo throughout here? You just mentioned it, and now it's in my mind. All right, cool. Some things that strike me. So my parents are from Ghana, so and I'm first generation out of America, and the one of the things that I grew up with for myself was this element of like, I think someone had said something along the lines like if you can't see it, it's hard to be it. If you can't see it, it's hard to be it. And I want to just kind of slow down in this moment right here, outliers, on two fronts. One, because you all are leaders yourself. Um, where's a place where you created something where even though you couldn't see it or there wasn't others like you or the stories are all like, the statistics said this wouldn't work out for you. Where's a place that you can own for yourself that you have a story like Cleo's right here, right? And then two, where's the thing right now in your life that you are holding yourself back on because you're looking for evidence that isn't out there because you are the person that is supposed to do it. You are the person that's supposed to start stretching the boundaries, becoming and changing and shaping what the norm is. All right. So I want to give you that as we get started here, Cleo. It really struck me. Thank you for bringing that in. You know, Commander Bimal, why don't you tell us about something in your world that has been unexpected that has led to exceptional results?
Well, my life has been an example of this because
Mm,
I've had to restart my life from scratch multiple times. That's there in my book. Actually, that's what the book is all about. I'll tell you one of the most significant ones that happened some time back, but very contextual in this case. When I was in the Navy, I was very young. I was in the engineering branch, and I was very, very focused on my work. I met with an accident, a road accident. I was on a bike and I had a head-on collision with a truck. Uh, and I was in the hospital for 2 years. Okay. And interestingly, we had a group of about eight uh, bikers. And out of the entire eight bikers, I was the only one who was not drunk. Everybody else was. And I couldn't just understand why this happened. Because I mean, I was always a good person, never thought bad for other people and things like that. And in the first 3 months in the hospital for me was horrible because I was always in this constant conversation with God that no, this is not supposed to happen with me. I know I did nothing wrong and everything was I don't I'm a not a bad person. I don't do anything wrong. Why should this happen to me? I was not even drunk. Others were drunk. Why me? Why me? Why me? And that first couple of months was horrible. And it reached a point where I got irritated with my own whining. And that's when I sat down and I said, okay, what's happened has happened. Okay, what next? How do I move forward? I had to take responsibility of how to take each day forward. And that was a complete change in my mindset, in the way I looked at things. I realized that, a lot of times things happen. The really bad things can happen to really good people, and it could be none of my fault. But even then, instead of fighting and arguing and whining about why it shouldn't happen to me, there has to be a time when take a pause and say that okay, now what has happened. What do I need to move forward? That was a very big lesson for me.
Thank you for that. Sorry that it took place. And I'm glad that you're able to look at that and to create something meaningful from that for you. Take us here. I want to just continue a little bit in a bit of the story from what the moving forward, like what that is. So how did you answer that question here?
Okay, so what happened was that I was, like I mentioned, I was in the engineering branch. So because of the accident I couldn't go back to the ship. But when I look back, when I connect the dots back, I thought I was going back in my life because I had to move into logistics branch. But I moved into the logistics branch. From there, I moved into one of my dream jobs, what is to work in IT. At that point in time, that was one of my dreams to work in IT. And because I lost so much time, I came to a particular city at a particular point in time. That's where I met my wife. We fell in love and we got married. And that's where I got exposed to this whole world of personal development. If I had continued in that engineering branch, all of this may not have happened. So many times, what I understood from my experience is that we've got to move in faith. A lot of things make sense when we look back, and when he said when you connect the dots, that's when he said that, oh, thank God it happened. That was my learning.
Yeah, I appreciate this here. And as you're talking about this here, it actually reminds me of this old I think it's a Chinese parable. I'm gonna read it right now because as soon as you said it, just like it struck out to me. All right. It goes like this. An old Chinese farmer saved up small amounts of money over a year to buy a new horse. Just a day after the farmer bought the horse, it ran away. His neighbor expressed grief, but the farmer himself was calm. The neighbor said, I hope you can get over this bad news. But the farmer replied, good news or bad news, can't say. The next day, the horse returned to the farmer's house by itself and brought another stray horse with it. Cheer up, we're going to multiply our farm income. That's great news, said the farmer's son. Good news or bad news, can't say, replied the farmer and carried on with his work. A week later, the farmer took the first horse to his farm, and his son took the second horse to follow his father's work. On the way, the second horse pushed the boy down and ran away. The boy's leg was fractured badly. That evening back at home, the farmer's wife groaned, "We will have to spend all of our extra savings on our son's broken leg. What terrible news." Once again, the farmer replied, "Good news or bad news? Can't say." A month later, the farmer's king announced a war on the neighboring nation. Citing a lack of foot soldiers, the king ordered all able bodied men in the nation to get drafted into the military without excuses. The farmer's son was spared because of his broken leg. Later, the inexperienced soldiers got slaughtered in the war. "You are lucky that your son did not get drafted. Mine returned with several injuries. Many have been handicapped or killed," complained the farmer's best friend. Unabashed, the farmer responded, "Good news or bad news? Can't say." And so goes the story.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Uh, Cleopatra, Commander Bimal, curious if what, if anything, comes to you as I shared that story, as you hear some of what Commander Bimal said. I just want to make sure we can build upon this, and then I'll bring in another question.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
That story basically brings me back to perspectives as humans. Our perspectives plays such an important role in the way that we go through life. Something negative's happening. How do you take that and make it positive and make it impactful to not only yourself, but to people around you? So, it could have been a good thing that the son didn't get drafted into the army, but, being from, that part of the world, is that really a good thing? Or if you're a parent, you're thinking, right, my child is safe. I've got him back home with me, but is that really a good thing? So I love that story because there's no single interpretation to it. It depends on your perspective as a human being and what you can take from it.
Yeah, I love this here. And Outliers, I'm gonna invite you, Commander Bimal. You mentioned about like looking back and connecting the dots backwards. Outliers, I'm gonna invite you to think about some things right now, whether you looked at it as good at that moment or bad in that moment. Like take a look right now, just as you wonderfully weaved in. You're like, I met my wife through this. Like my life, like everything kept going through here. What if you were able to take some time right now to connect the dots? Because Commander Ben, one of the other things I get about you is that you found power through like what came afterwards as well, right? Like when I experience you as someone who's in like I'm now I have the word command in my mind, but like who's in command of your life, like who goes through and makes intentional choices throughout. I'm curious how you've continued to level up your game through intentional decisions. Let's go in a more recent future. Share with us a story that wasn't just about moving forward for you, but actually felt like you're like, hey, now I'm actually playing this at a whole new level. And then Cleopatra, I'm coming to you afterwards with this too.
Uh, okay, so after that incident, something else happened. So we were in doing a business and we made a lot of money. We invested. We were about to retire financially at a particular age, and few months before we are supposed to financially retire, we learned that the person whom we entrusted the money with, and uh, he just lost everything. Okay, he didn't even invest the money. He was basically uh, a, somebody who swindles people. Uh, Again, there was a there was a period of blame and stuff like that. But then I realized that I need to take complete responsibility of everything that I do. Okay, I cannot just say that I give my money to somebody and let them handle it. No, I need to know what is happening. I need to learn. uh, I cannot say that I don't understand finances. I'm not comfortable understanding stock market. If I want to invest money in a particular place, I need to at least have the willingness and the drive to learn those things. So from there my learning started. I had to start life from scratch, from the point of being financially free. Uh, that is when I invested into coaching, even when I didn't have the money. So one thing I learned that is that don't hold back stuff just because don't measure your growth in terms of money. it's like sowing and reaping. You need to sow first, and at that some point you will reap, and that's what is happening. I put money, I used my credit card, I put in money, I requested for a installment plan and everything. And that was a journey that completely transformed my life. I started coaching people, I started getting breakthroughs to people, and that's when I realized that this is my happy space. This is a place where I can really thrive, where I can really grow. And that has been my mission from that time on. So one of the lowest points in life, because when the accident happened, I was alone. I was a bachelor. But when I had the financial setback, I had a family, I had a wife, I had a child. And that was a pretty scary moment in my life. But that I converted it into one of my biggest strengths along the way.
Hey, I'm grateful for this here. Cleo, I'm going to come to you in a bit. I just want to I want to slow down in one component of it, right? So Commander Bimo, so far we've been really good at getting into like the positive that has come in, right? For any outlier out there that's listening to this that maybe has had their business and either they sold it or they they were getting ready to you were at like a high, if I'm getting this right. You're like, we did this, we worked hard in the business, we got it to be profitable, and like now we can go and actually be done. We are done. And you had to
Right.
start all over, right? For any help us see here. I guess I just want to give a little bit of space to that period before it was good again, right? And I'm curious if there's anything you want to share in there around um let's see. I'm I don't want to just be stuck in the muck, is what I would say. But I do. I wonder if there's anything you want to share in that experience, especially as you were making the transition in there. Because I'm just thinking about a lot of outliers who feel like they missed their moment. Like things were easier for them, so on and so forth. Can you just take us to that place, maybe right around that inflection point for you, and share a little bit there, and then Cleo, I want to hear from you.
You mean when I changed,
Yeah, right,
when I
right
learned?
before you changed, and through that mix there. I'm just kind of curious about any of the different tools that you use or different experiences you had along the way that helps there. Just in case any
Oh,
outliers right now facing their equivalent of this.
yeah, definitely. So for me, what happened was that when this setback happened, again, there was a lot of these introspection and stuff like that, and I just wanted to crawl into the bed and just be there. I wanted to hide because I felt so irresponsible
Mhm.
uh, for not taking the ownership of all the money that we had spent a lot of you know days and nights and sweat building it. And at one point I realized that uh, things are not going to change. The sun is going to rise, sun is going to set, everybody's going about their lives. And just me hiding and sulking over what happened is not going to change my life. And I had a family to take care of. One point I realized that okay, I need to do something. I need to take charge of from start from wherever I am. So then I looked at two things. I said, okay, whatever is lost is what do I have with me still? If I had to start from scratch, one thing I had was the skills. Okay, one thing I had was the mindset to learn. And I was good with people. I used to mentor people, offline coach a little bit and stuff like that. I realized that, okay, this is one thing that nobody can take away. This is one of my strengths. And it was a very small space to start with. But I identified that and I caught on to that and I decided and I started building on that. And that is when it was a tough journey. We had to think twice. We had moved into a smaller house. We had to think twice about where to spend. Even for the child, we had to when she asked for something, we had to think. And it was a tough pill to swallow, but we did that, keeping in mind that this is where I need to work on.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. Again, it's not to be stuck in the muck, but I think it's the elements of this here where the people who listen to this here, us outliers, we're on our personal development journeys. We've done the self-help, self-development 101, and I think that there's something that happens in the narratives when I talk to people around if it isn't all sparkles and sunshine, you're doing something wrong. you know? And so like, so I appreciate you being like, look, like you might see me in the sparkles and sunshine now, you might see me in this place here, but like there was shadow, there was times, there was difficult times with it here. Awesome. Let me come to Cleo. Cleo, I'm gonna ask you a question, but you've been so great in like just like being here. I can feel your presence here. What's something that is like playing out through you? What's something that you'd like to share and bring into the conversation? Then I'll ask you a fresh question.
Do you know what? I tap so much into what Commander Bimal shared about really honing into that one thing that you have that's within your circle of control and then taking that and running with it. Because I've had to start over again multiple times myself. I was a wealth manager at some point, and then I became, working for some of the top companies in the world, and I had to give that away, worked on a beautiful island, and I had to give that up as well. So I can tap into that and just knowing that, listen, you're not alone. There are other people that are struggling with trying to figure out what next when you get to the end of your journey and restart a new journey and own that journey again. That really, really does speak to me. And you can see me nodding and going along with the story. So thank you so much for sharing that, Commander Bimal.
Yeah, so let's keep playing with this here because like a theme has emerged, and I haven't had this conversation yet. Like the themes of starting from scratch and what's next when you get to the end of your journey. Because I'll oftentimes have this conversation thinking about outliers who are at the top of their game. They are the ones that are they're leading industry. They're the people that people look to and be like well, if you don't know what to do, like how can I know it, right? Um, but there's something here that y'all have both brought in here, which is like, okay, what happens like when you're at that point and it's time to start something fresh, you know? So Cleo, let's stay with you right now. Like you talked about the number of different like places where you had to like, restart your journey here. Um, Share with me if you don't mind, like I'm thinking about that again. I'm right now in a transition moment. That's what I'm thinking about. The time of like on paper, you're working at the best companies, you're doing wealth management, you have all these things that look great, and then you decide to do something different. All right. Take us back to one of those moments. It could be the most shiny time, or it could be the messiest of them all, right? And help us see like what were some of the things that led you to like leave and choose something different or better for you, even though
Mm.
things were good at that moment.
One moment that comes to mind vividly, because it's also quite recent, was 4 years ago. I decided to leave a well-paying job in Mauritius, a house that I lived in with my pets, and it was such a beautiful life. And I had to give that up because I was seeking mental peace. And it got to a point where I thought, why am I not at peace with myself? Why am I struggling to be happy in this beautiful life that I had? And I started to dig deeper and see that that story started from a different time. So I'd taken that job because I was recovering from a really hurtful breakup and I just wanted to run away. And so I run away to the islands, thinking this will be a fresh start. This will be a good way to start my life again. But it lasted for only a short time. And I started to, feel those feelings that I was running away from and started to get a bit pulled back to those old emotions. And so I made the decision to leave. Not only because my past was catching up with me, but because I didn't know at that point what my purpose was. I'd lived 28 years on earth by that time, and I didn't know that I needed to be leaving for something. And so those having to deal with my emotions and my feelings in that way started to raise questions that I had no answer to. Why are you on earth? What are you living for? And the decision that came out of that was I was sleeping one day and I kept hearing in my dream, it was my grandmother, and she kept saying to me, sometimes you need to take a step back to pivot. And that was something that I'd never heard before. So I said, how it doesn't make any sense. How do I need to take a step back to move forward? Makes no sense. And so I decided to go back to Nigeria, and make a plan from there. And the Cleo that you see sitting here today, who has clarity of purpose and is dedicated to bringing other people into finding their own clarity of purpose, came from asking those tough questions and making that decision to give up a comfortable life and go out and find what my purpose was. I'm not going to say that I found everything. Is definitely a journey and a work in progress, but I do feel a lot more confident in who I am than I did a few years ago.
Well, I appreciate you, Cleo. I thank you all for bringing all this in here. I'm thoroughly enjoying the conversation, and I appreciate you all just being so real in your life and your life experiences and bringing that in. Um, Yeah, I want to go to business now, and take a look at how you all are bringing your outlier game to the business game. Right. So in particular, where I'm curious about is around like your client creation like process. Right. So when you're bringing in clients here, would love to hear more about like what it is that um, both what you do, but like how you do it in a way that like has found alignment with you. Right. For me, I start off and I meet a lot of people through a podcast, and some of them continue on to become clients or partners or affiliates and things like that. Right. I'm curious how you might go about doing it, and where some elements where you almost saw what everyone else was doing and you said, yeah, it should work and it works for all of them. But for me, I need to go down this other path. Commander Bimal, why don't we start with you and then we'll go to Cleo?
Well, I would say that one of the things that I constantly do, even now I do, is I go for a lot of events, uh, a lot of personal development workshops and events, because the most important element for me personally in any kind of business is to have work with like-minded people. Okay, you can have some, you can work with somebody, but if you're not aligned and if you don't have similar values, it's not going to last much longer. So one thing that I like I said, I still do is to attend events and attend personal development workshops where I meet people, I hustle with them, I interact with them, I get ideas from them, they get ideas from what I'm doing. That's one thing I do. And second thing is that I have a community of people whom I coach, and I'm connected with similar people with who has community. Well, let's say somebody has a huge community in financial. So I have a community where we are focused on communication and mental depth, mindset development. So many times we cross pollinate. So I go into his community and I talk about, I give them a lot of value and I talk about what I do. A lot of people said, "Oh, it sounds interesting. I would like to come in." Now, this has a huge advantage because those communities believe the person who's brought me in. Okay, uh, let's say Niiamah, you have a community of people who listen to you. They have a certain amount of trust on you. Okay, so if you have trust in me and you have brought me into your community, so there's an indirect trust that gets built. So what I've seen is that the conversion is way better when it is through cross pollination between communities. So I've been doing that a lot. I'm building, and they also come into my community, and the experience is similar for them. So you can look for people who are like-minded, who want to genuinely give good value to their community. It's not just business. It's about values. It's about alignment of the mind. And the people identify that. You can't fake it with people. They come to know when they work with you, when you talk to them and all. So they know that if you're bringing something on in, okay, it's somebody whom I can depend on. So that's worked beautifully for me to build my business.
Cleo, I'm coming to you in a bit on this. I'm curious what you do. I want to play a little bit here. I want to like unpack. Firstly, thank you. Um, Secondly, I love this. I love simplicity right now. Like, I think I was very big on complexity for a very long time, as well as like, like super huge on uniqueness. Like, oh, that random thing that you did, oh, that's awesome. You know, but sort of what I hear from you is that like you're like, I have a really simple process. Like, I go to events. I go to events with other people who are trying to grow, and I go to a lot of them. I keep doing it. Why? Because it works. And I gotta
Yes.
grow, and I gotta meet other people who are in the growth mindset. And some of the things work out from there, right? Um, and then the other thing I heard is I go to other communities. You go to places where the people are that are in a growth mind. That's one of the big things I hear. Sometimes you go as a participant, and you're participating in the event alongside them. And other times you go into other people's communities and you've created something where you have like a community ecosystem where you and other leaders in different areas are able to cross pollinate from there. Right. So I love the
Yep.
simplicity that I'm hearing. I think a lot of times outlets are like, oh, I got to go work on my master class. I got to go do all this stuff here. And it's like, there could be a simple path. All right. One. And then the second thing that's really coming for me is you said conversion is way better through the cross pollination. What struck me wasn't is it better? Is it not? Is this the most optimal way or not? But it was the aspect of tracking to see like what actually works for you. you know and I think I want to put that into space here, outliers, because I think a lot of us out here, we're good with a shiny object. We're good with doing something new. We hear someone like bring up a new idea and we're like, oh, I'll go and do it. But are you tracking your results? Are you able to say that this actually worked better, and then double down, triple down, quadruple down on making this a part of how you grow from there? Before I go to Cleo, Commander Bimal, any place that I missed, anything that you want to add some more robustness to?
No, no, everything is fine. Just make sure that your intention is pure.
Mm.
You cannot just treat it as a business deal. It falls through because it's not just what you speak. It's your energy, it's your intention, your vibration that aligns with the people who are listening to you. Just keep that in mind. Rest everything is fine.
Isn't that nice, outliers, to like go out there, be a giver, do like keep your intention pure. Like you can play that game and still have it work out for you.
Like what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, and and I'll call it in because I am intentional, and I'm like, and we're gonna sit here and we're gonna give, and then some people are gonna continue and choose to work with me. Outliers and the benefit, like I only do things now if it's a win-win-win. If I can't see a way for every party involved to win, I'm like, it's just not worth it. There are options where like we could all just win, and it takes a little bit longer sometimes, I'll admit. Um, but I go to bed with like my heart clean, my soul on fire. Like it's good. And I know I can do
Absolutely.
this forever. You know?
Yes.
So that feels good. Cleo, how about you? What are some ways that, and you can either respond to something that Commander Bimal said, or share with us some ways that like you bring out your outlier in your client creation process.
Definitely. I mean, I 100% agree on the idea of community. Community is gold in whatever business venture that you're going into. But personally, I like to say that I use the freemium model, even though this isn't a SaaS business. So currently do facilitation for the Google program, I Am Remarkable. And that program in itself speaks to me because I've struggled with, self-confidence and being able to promote myself, which is something that you need to excel if you're a professional. And so I went through the I Am Remarkable program. I cried in the session that I did, which is quite embarrassing, but okay. And I decided that I wanted to continue to spread that message of self-confidence and self-promotion. So I became a facilitator. So for my business right now, because what I do as a personal growth coach aligns really well with the Remarkable movement. A lot of my lead generation comes from, the free workshops through I Am Remarkable. I know that if you're taking a free workshop on I Am Remarkable, you're already thinking about bettering yourself. You're already in that mind space of, right, what can I do to make myself better or develop yourself? So that then becomes like the top of my funnel, where you're getting this free workshop, free impactful workshop, by the way, and then you get entrance into my community, the Growth Busters. You continue to get free value in that community as well. And then when I feel like when you are at a point where you really want to take control of your personal growth, of your life, that is the only point where I want to work with people, by the way, not people who are thinking, what if, or not sure. So at that point, after having all of those resources, I then, get people reaching out saying, you know what, I want to do the group coaching program. I want to do a one-on-one coaching, which makes the work a little bit easier for me because they've already experienced all of the other resources and are ready to, take the next step.
Yeah, I love to play with this with both of you here because like when I started out my coaching journey, it was very like altruistic. And one of those things that of like, well, if I just do good work, it would all come back, right? And then as time went on, I'm like, oh, I have to actually like help facilitate that. I have to help make that like possible. Yes, I'm doing good work, but like it needs to be containers and other ways that I go about doing it. And like we have our Outliers Ed Skilled community. So all three of us here have communities. We should talk and continue to build each other through this as it goes on. So let's have some conversations around that. Um, Clea, one of the things that catches me because what you say like really aligns with my beliefs, obviously, given the way that we're meeting and everything. Um, but the component of like giving first, giving like being able to like giving the free workshop, like which is your time, your energy, your experience going into that, having them come into your community, having them use that time to then like nurture themselves and get to know more about what you're saying. And to Commander Bimal, to your point, like the conversion is just better, you know. I'm curious. I would love to just like kind of have like an open dialogue here, just kind of like true table style to be like, what have you found that's been working for you? Where have you run into some issues around those things, around like building a business in this way? I think that like it's really top of mind for me, and I'm happy to share things on my end. But I I don't think that outliers that everyone gets how much you can do in order to like and do it in a way that's in alignment with you as you're building. So I kind of just like I want to take my questions out and just kind of just like share for a little bit, see what comes out of it. I'll come back in with questions at a certain point, but I just want to open up the mic for a bit. Y'all good with that?
Sure, sure, sure.
Yeah, yeah. Anything popping off for anyone?
So one of the most important things, like Cleopatra said, is that it's very important to have a funnel, uh, because otherwise you're constantly spending money to attract clients. You have top of the funnel, you have a low value, uh, sorry, high value, low priced uh, product. Okay, like the we do free webinars every week, at least twice. And when it comes to online, one of the most important things that you need to do is consistency. When it comes to webinar, let's say if there are 100 people attending the webinar every single week, sometimes you'll have 20% conversion, sometimes you'll have 2% conversion. So you cannot get disheartened because it is 2%. You just need to work continuously and consistently every single week, and then you will see a pattern. You have to keep doing it till you see a pattern, and based on the pattern then you can change your webinar, change your content, and see what works. Don't just give up after a couple of times because it'll keep going up and down. And once they come in, the first layer is basically for them to know you, to trust you, and to understand that you have genuine interest and you give a lot of value, much more value than what they have paid for. Once they understand that and once they believe in you, then the next level is a natural progression. They ask you, okay, what next after this? I want more. What next after this? So there's no uh, expense that you incur into getting them into your high ticket programs, and where you give much more value for what they are paying. So that funnel is extremely important to have, and consistency in your stuff, in your webinars and your ads is very, very important.
Awesome, awesome. Clear. What you got on this?
Absolutely. Do you know what? I've come from a financial sales background,
Mm.
and the thing that they instill in you is to have options, right? So if you're a business owner, and it doesn't even matter if you're a coach, because sometimes there's this kind of like, I don't know whether it's a God complex type of thing where you're unable to pitch yourself and sell yourself because you're selling, personal growth coaching or something like that. No, it's a business. at the end of the day. The crux of that business is to make impact. But in order to do that, you need to reach the people that you can make that impact into their lives. So one thing that I would say is, as you're building your business, make sure that you're giving people options. So I do a lot of outgoing lead generation as well. And that is focused on like the group workshops for corporates that I do. They're not going to come to me because they don't know me. But that is an element of my business that also generates revenue away from the individual, programs that I do. So I'm actively reaching out to companies. I've got on a retainer with my university. That is because I reached out, made myself visible enough for them to see me. So think about that. Make sure that you're having options for every single person within your target audience that you're trying to reach, and use different ways to reach them. You can do inbound lead generation, outbound lead generation, use the freemium method for people online, and just make sure that you're tailoring those to the specific audience that you're working with.
So Outliers, I'm gonna come to you here. I want to keep jamming on it. Everything you're saying is just like it's aligning with me. And part of the reason I'm smiling right now is that I listened to this, and as you're saying it, I'm like, yes, of course, of course, of course. Like, yep, makes sense. 2 years ago, I don't think that would have been the case. Right. 2 years ago, it would have been like, I just need to go find that one person who has the money, who's playing it like I would like make all these things here and just kind of like almost hope that I would win the jackpot on like on an ongoing basis. Like that was my consistent plan, to keep trying to win the jackpot. And so it's interesting listening now, and part of why I want to say it, because a part of me, as you're talking, I'm like, oh, are we just covering basics? I'm like, no, the fundamentals are everything. This is the foundations. It is simple. It is not. It's not that complicated. It's just like there's the like, what is the process? What is the flow that you have in here? So, on my end, I want to say thank you. I feel something as you're bringing this in. We're going to start wrapping up the conversation, but I do think that there are for any person that's out there that's like leading their organization, maybe it's even bringing a new product out to market, or they found some success, but as they come together, yeah, Commander Bimal, bring us in.
So just one more thing I want to add, which is very important.
Yeah.
Always be a value creator.
Mm.
Okay, you could be an employee. You need not be an online coach. You could be doing something else, but come online, give value. When somebody receives value from you, knowledge from you, then you are considered an expert, and you have to be an expert to go out there and give value. All right. So create your online presence, give a lot of value, and your business will start growing. And doesn't matter whether you are in an online space or an offline space.
Yeah, so all right, now let me play with this for any outliers out there. I'm going to ask on your behalf here. What if you're one of those people that feels like, well, what do I have that's valuable? Who's going to think that what I have to offer is valuable? I'm curious. Or look, I have something that I'm really interested in, but I don't know if it's actually valuable. Who would actually value it? Like, I would love for you, if you can, to speak to that, Commander Bimal, and then we'll go to Cleo, and then we'll end.
So it doesn't, first of all, anything that you have is valuable to someone. All right. So whatever you have, your knowledge is valuable. Okay. One of my mentors, Blessing, always says that you don't need to be the biggest expert in your subject. You need to be the most committed student. You need to be somebody who's constantly learning. So when you're constantly learning, you can always give value to other people. That's all you need. And there'll be a lot of people coming to you.
I want to clip that one just for myself there, right there, because like I heard it. If you're watching the video, you might have seen me like nodded, like yeah, and then in the moment, like it hit me. I was like, ooh, I get this. I get the distinction that's here. So thank you for that, Cleo. Anything you want to put on, want to put into this space here, and then we'll wrap up the conversation.
Well, I mean, it's been such an amazing conversation, and I think I've learned more than I've given. Listen, value is everything that you know within yourself and that's worked for you, and that's how I approach it. My life is like an experiment. So every thought, every learning that I've gotten for myself and I've used for myself, I share it. So if that is you, think about who you are as a person. How have you navigated life? What things have you used to make life easier for you? Or think about, what do people come to you for? Exactly. We all have something that's unique to us. We all have a unique value proposition. It might just take time for you to sit down and do kind of like an inventory of who you are and what you know and what you can provide. And you will pinpoint what that value is. There is nobody walking on earth that isn't valuable. So let's already take away this from our thought process and start focusing on finding what the value is.
Y'all are awesome. I appreciate it. I thank you all for living the lives that you've lived. We're gonna wrap up here with in two ways. One, outliers for any of you like who really get how valuable this conversation has been for you. I put it out there that it'd be valuable for at least one other person in your life. And so my ask is that you take this time right now to go and let that person know, hey, you person in my life. You are valuable to me. And here goes the conversation I think would be valuable to you. So go and listen. Please share this with them. You can go and share it on like social media. You can share it on your platforms and such. But I do find it to be really powerful if you just share it with one person with specific intent. So that's one. Two, talking about specific intent, I would love for people who want to continue down the journey with you to be able to do it with both of you too. So the way that we wrap up our conversations is to share an insight that we got from this conversation, something that you learned, something that you're taking away from this conversation. This is specifically for you, not for outliers. We've given enough in that way here. I think now the way that we can give to them one last time is to share like how we grew through the conversation. And if you didn't grow, like that's fine. Just be like, I didn't have an insight, and that's totally fine too, you know. So what should we share an insight, and then we let us know, you let us know about the contact or the ways that we can continue down the journey with you. All right. So why don't we start with you, Cleopatra, and then we'll go to Commander Bimal, and we'll close for today.
You know, I think what I got and what you got might be similar, but what Commander Bimal said about, you don't need to be an expert. You just need to be the most dedicated student. Is something that I've been living, but I've never really been able to articulate it in that way. So I really appreciate you, and I'm begging for permission to take that on and share that with other people as well. But very, very insightful conversation, and I really appreciate you coming on and opening up to us in the way that you've done.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And Cleo, if we want to continue down the journey with you, how can outliers do that?
Right. So you can follow me on LinkedIn if you're on LinkedIn. And I'm very, very active online these days. So Candid Cleo coaching on all platforms. I do share a lot of value on YouTube as well. So you can check me out on YouTube, connect with me, join the conversation, and let's go from there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Commander Bimal?
Okay, what I received from this is something slightly different. What I received was your enthusiasm. Okay, because when I received your email, I was like, "What's this?" I was talking to one of my friends. I got this random email and no conversation, nothing. He sent me an invite. I don't even know whether it's going to happen. I'll just try. Your faith, your belief, and your enthusiasm, Niiamah, it's it's rare. Okay, and what you're doing for a for your community, and when you saw that, okay, it's going to be three of us. It's just your faith and belief that's taking this forward, and I truly really appreciate your courage, your faith, and your belief, and the amount of effort that you're putting in for your community. That's absolutely appreciated and very very commendable. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you. I have to receive that here. While I'm receiving while I'm receiving it, you can see I'm even stumbling with my words. While I'm receiving it, why don't you let outliers know how they can best stay in your world?
The best way to contact me would be through my LinkedIn profile. I'm not very active on YouTube, but I'm active on Instagram or Facebook or even LinkedIn.
Okay. All right.
That's one of the best ways to reach me.
Thank you for that. Thank you all for this. Thank you for sharing your experiences. Thank you for sharing like your wisdom and honestly, just thanks for bringing your personality to it. I've had a great time talking to all of you and Outliers. I invite you to continue down in their world. Let's keep growing together. All right. Until the next time that we are all together, remember this: be you on purpose. Journey on.